Welcome to the August 27th, 2021 version of News from the Front Lines of Business from DW Huff Consulting. For those of you who are new to our channel and maybe haven't seen any of our clips yet, we're a small CPA firm and small business consultants here operating out of Chalmette, Louisiana. We kind of pride ourselves on unique solutions to your problems and really helping businesses and rental property owners know their numbers, and we kind of really feel like that's the most important, I guess, first step in really achieving the kind of success that you deserve. So with that, let's jump right into our news from the front lines. Okay, so here we are in August 2021 here, and all of a sudden we've finding ourselves here in storm season. So with that, I guess we'll look at our fun with numbers that's not really any fun. So I took a little dive into the history of storms here, and here in Louisiana since 2000. So some of these storms haven't really been tracked very accurately over time, but since 2000, where these numbers are kind of really tracked with a lot of detail. Total storms that have hit us has been 39, and 10 of those have been in August. So pretty much a 6-month time period here. 39 storms that have made landfall and been big enough to be recorded. 10 of those happened in August, so it's almost the single most active month, but very active. And this last one that's coming up on us is Tropical Storm Ida. 2 days ago it wasn't even a thought. Now all of a sudden it's got everybody packing up and moving again. So anyway, 10 storms in August for Louisiana out of 39 total. So kind of an active month for us, and it sucks. But with that, I guess for the news from the front, we'll talk a little bit this week about preparing to evacuate and recover from these type of events. Also during this past week, we had a number of discussions about Social Security benefits and how to check up on those things, and so you don't have any unpleasant surprises when you eventually do have to use those benefits. And another discussion on real estate. So this is coming up more and more in our planning discussions with clients and how they're building wealth, and we're going to talk a little bit about how that fits into, I guess, our philosophy, how we organize things in our build, grow, enjoy system here. So with that, preparation for hurricanes. So everybody that is watching has probably been through this many times, as have I. But anyway, just to recap the things that we need to do. Secure your property, obviously. So any kind of items that could be picked up by wind and flung around and damage other people's property or your property, you obviously want to pick that stuff up and put it inside. So do that first. And then go inside, pack up whatever documents you have. So I have these little tote boxes that take all my paper copies of things, that take them out of the file cabinet, dump them in a little plastic watertight box, and I throw it in my truck to be hauled off wherever I go. And that was a valuable lesson learned from Katrina, to have all that stuff. So if you obviously we try to scan as much stuff and store it offline as we can, but there are some documents that you just got to have physical copy of. So plastic tubs, pretty cheap and easy, and so just don't forget those things, because there's all sorts of birth certificates and things like that come into play, and you might need those things at some time in the future. So have them with you. I guess as far as computer equipment, things like that. So in our office here, we're obviously not going to try and leave very many computer, hardware and that sort of thing here, because if we have to relocate somewhere because the power is out, which is a very common occurrence, with a high wind event or not even a direct hit, the power goes out and you can't do anything anyway. So it's best to pack up those things, throw them in your truck, your car, and bring them with you wherever you go, so you can set up and get back to work while you're waiting for things to return to normal. So so pack everything up, and I guess I would consider even things that might not be high value, like those documents, consider bringing those with you. So with the things that you got to leave behind, so we typically recommend to make it easier for insurance claims later on. Walk around with your cell phone, take a little video snapshot of everything that's inside the property. That may come into play later on if you have to make some sort of itemized list. Working from a video is going to be better and should speed up the claim process should that be necessary. and whatever you do leave behind, waterproof it. So those plastic tubs we talked about, they have a lot of those larger, ones that hold 30 gallons worth of stuff in them. They have a lid you can put on them, so throw the stuff you can't bring with you, and maybe televisions and whatnot, throw it in the tub, put it up as high as you can, and hit the road. So that's my last point, is to leave. So I kind of hate leaving because it's such a hassle. However, I've learned in the past that if you stick around for some reason because you think you're going to get something done with all the, it gets to be kind of peaceful and quiet when everybody evacuates, right? But when the power goes out, you're stuck twiddling your thumbs anyway, so you can't get, no power, you can't get any work done, it's hot. Just no reason to stick around. So if you got the means to do it, pack up and bail out. I say that all the time, and I sometimes don't heed my own advice there, but that's definitely my opinion. Is just to go drive somewhere else. A few hours up north of where you are will probably be good enough. So, all right. So back to some, I guess, less heavy topics here. Social Security annual checkup. So if you don't already have a My Social Security account, highly recommend you go to ssa.gov and set that up. Reason being is that from that account, you'll be able to log in, see your benefits, so you can go back and it'll have a listing of all your years of work, how much Social Security wages have been credited to your account. It'll give you an estimate of your monthly retirement benefit when you retire, and it's useful for planning because it's a complicated topic, but we know that your highest 35 years of earnings or what goes into that calculation. So a lot of times, if you're considering retiring, you can go back and look at your history there. You may find some years with zeros in there because you may have worked a job that was maybe a government job that didn't pull out withdraw Social Security from your check, possibly. Maybe it didn't work. Maybe it's an error. It needs to be fixed. If you know for sure you worked at a job and it's not there, something may have happened with that W-2 filing, and you may need to resolve that because it can affect your benefits. So looking at those things on a regular basis and dealing with it, dealing with correcting errors is obviously something you want to look at every year. But for planning too, if you find some years with zeros and consider retirement, sometimes it's better to work on a little part-time job for a year, get some kind of positive number in one of those 35 years that may have a zero on it, and you'll notice that will affect your benefit. So anyway, that's I guess the primary reasons is just to kind of check up on errors and things like that, and just get an idea what you're going to receive too, because it does tell you what your benefit will be. So for planning purposes, that may lead you to work less or more. If you see you got a bigger benefit than you need, you might want to just quit work tomorrow. I don't know. But also, setting up the account is very important from a personal identity theft standpoint. Once your account is set up, you're going to set up a password and that sort of thing and a user ID, and that's going to be something that you can use, but it also prevents somebody else from going on to this website and setting it up and taking place in some sort of fraudulent claim, because that has happened. So despite how good the ID verification is and stuff like that, we have seen cases where somebody gets a hold of your number somehow and they get your information, they log in, they set up the account, they set up, they start taking claims out, maybe if you're at retirement age, and that will be a nightmare for you to fix after the fact. So preemptively setting up an account avoids that. Now nobody can come in and they might still hack your account, but at least they won't be able to have such an easy path as just setting up a brand new account and filing a claim. So another good reason to set that up. Real estate, that has come up again. It's been coming up pretty much every week with various clients along the way, and I guess now we're getting into the extension filing season. So taxpayers who have put their returns on extension, it seems like plenty of those have business and real estate holdings that need to be accounted for. So it's important. So in our way of thinking of things, and our method is we have this build, grow, enjoy system here of kind of wealth building. So in the building section, we're looking at going out and getting a job and working somewhere, maybe having a small business and a side hustle and setting up ways to protect those assets. So the build part is there. We consider the real estate investment to be more the growth section, kind of in that middle. So once you've accumulated some funds and you built up your credit score and that sort of thing, where you have the means to now obtain property, in that second more mature state, now we're looking to adding that as an investment along with the other, stocks and bonds and IRAs and that kind of thing. So that's where real estate kind of fits. And just as an observation here, at our accounting firm, we deal with a lot of clients who made money and have been profitable in all different sections of the society. But I would say of the truly wealthy people who really have achieved success, I can't think of any that don't have some sort of real estate holdings in a portfolio. And I'm not talking about just your primary residence, because obviously they would have that. But most have some other asset. Either they have some land that they are holding and to develop and resell. They might have rental properties. They might be involved in some partnerships possibly. So there's multiple ways to get access to real estate. But we do see that as probably the most common factor there is in any kind of real, real portfolio that has some real value to it. So consider it if you haven't already. Talk to us. We'll be glad to share our experiences with you as we kind of, we deal with this every day pretty much. So that's it for all the fun stuff. One more thing to share with you, though. As you know, I read a lot of the Stoic philosophers. I am constantly reading and learning and trying to improve. And Gary Gary Vaynerchuk, I think is his name. You've probably seen him on YouTube and various things. But he's successful, and he speaks very bluntly about certain topics. And this one jumped out at me today. The quote is, "If your work is great, that becomes your reputation, and that becomes the gateway to get business." So, be good at what you do. Take pride in your work. I found that to be helpful in me in my own practice here as I build things. So, taking that time to be good at what you do, always be learning and improving and that kind of thing, and it flows through and it absolutely pays dividends to down the line. So with that, have a hopefully dry weekend. Hopefully this will be an uneventful weekend, and when we get back at it Monday morning, we won't have to be dealing with any sort of repairs, and we'll just get back to a normal week hopefully. But anyway, we'll see you next week. Bye.